Today's tale is Rumplestiltskin. Once there was a miller who was poor but had a beautiful daughter. Now it happened he had to go and speak to the king, and in order to make himself appear important, he said to him, "I have a daughter who can spin straw into gold." The king replied, "That is an art which pleases me well. If your daughter is as clever as you say, bring her tomorrow to my palace, and I will try what she can do." When the girl was brought to him, he took her into a room which was quite full of straw, gave her a spinning wheel and a reel, and said to set to work, and if by tomorrow morning early you have not spun this straw into gold during the night, you must die. Thereupon he himself locked up the room and left her in it, all by herself. There sat the poor miller's daughter, and for the life of her could not tell what to do. She had no idea how straw could be spun into gold, and she grew more and more miserable until at last she began to weep. All at once the door opened, and in came a strange little man, who said, "Good evening, Mistress Miller. Why are you crying so?" "Alas," answered the girl, "I have to spin straw into gold, and I do not know how to do it." "What will you give me," said the mannikin, "if I do it for you?" "My necklace," said the girl. The little man took the necklace, seated himself in front of the wheel, and whirr, whirr, whirr 3 times, and the reel was full. So he put another on, whirr, whirr, whirr 3 times around. The second was also full, and so it went on until morning, when all the straw was spun and all the reels were quite full of gold. By daybreak the king was there, and when he saw the gold he was astonished and delighted, but his heart only became more greedy. He had the miller's daughter taken into another room full of straw, which was much larger, and commanded her to spin that also in one night, if she valued her life. The girl knew not how to help herself, and was crying, when the door again opened, and the little man appeared and said, "What shall you give me if I spin that straw into gold for you?" "The ring on my finger," answered the girl. The little man took the ring, again began to turn the wheel, and by morning had spun all the straw into glittering gold. The king rejoiced beyond measure at the sight, but still he had not gold enough, and he had the miller's daughter taken into a still larger room full of straw, and said, "Spin this too in the course of this night. If you succeed, you shall be my wife." "Even if she be a miller's daughter," thought he, "I could not find a richer wife in the whole world." When the girl was alone, the mannikin came again for the 3rd time, and said, "What will you give me if I spin the straw for you this time also?" "I have nothing left I could give," answered the girl. "Then promise me if you should become queen your first child." "Who knows whether that will ever happen," thought the miller's daughter. Not knowing how else to help herself in the strait, she promised him what he wanted, and for that he once more span the straw to gold. When the king came in the morning and found all as he had wished, he took her in marriage, and the pretty miller's daughter became a queen. A year after she had a beautiful child, and she never gave a thought to the little man. But suddenly he came into her room and said, "Now you shall give me what you promised." The queen was horror-struck, and offered the mannikin all the riches of the kingdom if he would leave her the child. But he said, "No, something that is living is dearer to me than all the treasures in the world." And the queen began to weep and cry, so that he pitied her. "I will give you 3 days' time," said he. "If by that time you find out my name, then you shall keep your child." So the queen thought the whole night long of all the names she had ever heard, and sent a messenger over the country to inquire far and wide for any other names there might be. When the mannikin came the next day, she began with Caspar, Melchior, Balthasar, said all the names she knew, one after another, but to everyone the little man replied, "That is not my name." On the 2nd day she had inquiries made in the neighborhood as to the names of the people there, and she repeated to him the most uncommon and curious. "Perhaps your name is Short Ribs, or Sheepshanks, or Laceleg." But always he answered, "That is not my name." On the 3rd day the messenger came back again and said, "I have not been able to find a single new name, but as I came to a high mountain at the end of the forest, where the fox and the hare bid each other good night, there I saw a little house. Before the house a fire was burning, and round about the fire a quite ridiculous little man was jumping. He hopped upon one leg and shouted, 'Today I bake, tomorrow I brew, next I'll have the young queen's child. How glad I am that no one knew that Rumplestiltskin I am styled.' And you may think how glad the queen was when she heard the name. Soon afterwards, when the little man came in and asked, 'Mistress Queen, what is my name?' At first she said, 'Is your name Conrad?' 'Well, no.' 'Is it Harry?' 'Of course not.' 'Perhaps your name is Rumplestiltskin.' 'The devil himself has told you! The devil himself has told you!' cried the little man, and in his anger he plunged his right foot so deep into the earth his whole leg went in, and in a rage he pulled at his left leg so hard with both hands that he tore himself in two. The end.